What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG TCG video. Today, guys, we are going to be discussing the new Dark World support that is set to release in the structure deck R Hell's Gate. Very excited to be discussing these new support with you guys, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, as per usual with these card game videos, I'll go over the monsters first, then the extra deck monsters, and end it off with the spells and traps. And the first card that we're going to be discussing is the only new main deck monster so far, and that is Rain, Devil King of Dark World, or for the TCG version, Rain Box, Supreme Overlord of Dark World. Really love the name of this monster. It's a level 8 Dark Fiend effect monster with 3000 attack and 1800 defense, and it has 2 effects. You can special summon this card from your graveyard by returning one level 7 or lower Dark World monster you control to the hand, and if this card is discarded by card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add one level 5 or higher Dark World monster from your deck to your hand, except this card. Then if this card was discarded by your opponent, you can special summon one level 4 or lower Dark World monster from your deck or graveyard to either field. So this is actually a pretty cool card. Being able to special summon itself from the graveyard by returning a level 7 or lower Dark World monster you control to the hand. Like, yeah, you have to get rid of a monster in order to special summon this monster from the graveyard, but it's not really that much of a downside because it is a level 8 monster, so it's basically a situation where you either have to tribute 2 monsters to summon it, or you can just, return a monster back to your hand and you can special summon this card. And obviously, with how Dark World's played, getting it into the graveyard is not that hard at all. You just gotta hope your opponent doesn't call by the grave you and just completely ruin your plan. But besides that, the first effect to be able to special summon itself is pretty cool, and then the second effect is also nice. Being able to search for any level 5 or higher Dark World monster from your deck and being able to add it to your hand is super cool, and it's like I said, the way Dark World is played is that you use cards to send your Dark World monsters to the graveyard, so being able to send this card to the graveyard is not hard at all. So you basically get a search, and if you have a monster on the field, you return it back to your hand, and you get to special summon a 3000 attack monster. So it seems pretty good in my opinion. The being able to special summon a level 4 or lower Dark World monster from your deck or graveyard to either field if your opponent discards it, not really too important because you have to rely on your opponent to do that, but it's still a cool effect nonetheless. So yeah, overall, I actually think this is a really cool card in my opinion, and I can't see this being played in a Dark World deck. But with that being said, that's going to be it for the effect monsters. So let's go into the extra deck monster, which we only have one of. And that new extra deck monster is Grepha, Dragon God King of Dark World, or for the TCG version, Grepha, Dragon Overlord of Dark World. It is a level 10 Dark Fiend Fusion effect monster with 3200 attack and 2300 defense, and the requirements to summon this card is Grepha, Dragon Lord of Dark World, which makes sense, this is the upgraded version of it, and one Dark monster, so it doesn't even have to be a Dark World monster. So I do like the fact that that second part of it is a little bit more close enough to generic because you're going to be playing primarily dark monsters in a Dark World deck, so it makes sense. So I do like the summoning requirements for it. Yeah, you do need a specific monster, but it makes sense. It's the upgrade, so whatever. It has 2 effects. The first effect is when an opponent activates a normal spell, trap card, or monster effect, quick effect, you can make that effect become your opponent discards 1 card, and then if this fusion summon card leaves the field by your opponent, you can special summon one of your Grapha Dragon Lord of Dark World that is banished or in your graveyard, then each player discards 1 card. So this card, it's an alright card in my opinion. The first effect I'm not really the biggest fan of, more specifically because it has to be a normal spell and trap that you can target, which to me is kind of stupid. I mean, at least you can do it with any monster effect, so that's pretty cool, but the fact that it has to specifically be a normal spell card in order to really use that, I don't know, I just feel like you shouldn't be limiting it to just a normal spell and trap. But hey, I guess if they do activate a normal spell and trap card, guess what? You can make it to where your opponent is forced to discard a card, which I guess depending on the deck that you're playing against, this could be a good thing or not a good thing. It depends if your opponent's playing a graveyard strategy, obviously, but it's not a bad effect at all. I just think it's kind of stupid that it has to be a normal spell and trap. And then the second effect is alright as well. It's one of those problems where your opponent has to send it from the field to the graveyard, and then you get to special summon back your Grapha Dragon Lord of Dark World. and it could be either banished or from the graveyard, and then both players discard one card. So basically, it helps you for getting Dark World monsters into your graveyard and activating their effects. So that's pretty cool from that perspective, I guess. But again, you do have to rely on your opponent to be able to activate the effects. So in my opinion, cool new boss monster. I will say I love the fact that Greffa is getting an upgraded form into this fusion form. But overall, I just think it's an alright card in my opinion. So with that said, that's going to be it for the extra deck monster, so let's go into the spells and traps. And the first card that we got is Dark World Puppeteering, a quick play spell that reads, you can only activate one card with this card's name per turn, target up to 3 cards in any graveyard, banish them, then discard 1 fiend monster, and during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard and target one of your banished fiend monsters, add it to your hand. So this is actually a really sick card. So being able to banish 3 monsters from either player's graveyard is really cool, and then you get to basically send a Dark World monster from your graveyard. So that's really good to start sending up your Dark World plays, and then being able to banish this card from your graveyard and target a banished monster and being able to bring it back is also really cool in my opinion. So if you decide for your graveyard to be the one to banish, you can basically bring back any Dark World monster that you banish. So in my opinion, I actually think this is a really cool card in my opinion. It gets your Dark World monsters to your graveyard, and you can basically destroy your opponent's graveyard, which I guess the only deck I really don't see this being too well against is Sword Soul, because they want their cards banished. But if you're not playing against Sword Soul and your opponent cannot afford cards to be banished, then I think that is pretty cool. But even if you don't want to target your opponent, just being able to banish some of your cards so that way you can bring them back from the banish zone, because there are other Dark World cards as well that can bring it back from the banish zone. So in my opinion, pretty cool card in my opinion. But with that being said, that's going to lead us into the final card of this video, which is Dark World Ascension, a quick play spell card that reads, you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. During the main phase, fusion summon 1 fiend fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your field and or graveyard. If summoning a Dark World fusion monster this way, you can also discard monsters from your hand as material. During your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can add it to your hand, then discard 1 Dark World monster. So this is really cool. Obviously this is the new fusion spell card, so that way you can go into your new boss fusion monster. So that's really cool. And this can just be for any fiend monster as well. So if you're just playing any type of fiend deck that isn't specifically Dark World, you can also use this card in it as well. So that's pretty cool. And basically you can banish cards from your field or graveyard, so that way you can get them loaded into your banish zone, so that way you can bring them back later in the duel. Is pretty cool. And since obviously they want you to go into this new Greffa fusion monster, because you're summoning a Dark World fusion monster, you can discard the cards from your hand as well as it costs, so that way you can start loading up with Dark World monsters into your graveyard as well. So that's actually really sick in my opinion. And then you get to add the fusion card back by discarding another Dark World monster. So yeah, in my opinion, this is actually a really cool card in my opinion. So yeah, with that being said, that's going to be it for the new Dark World support. General thoughts on the new support. I actually think this is some pretty cool support. Definitely the weakest in my opinion is actually the boss fusion monster. Again, I like the fact that Greffa is getting like a new form in the form of a fusion monster, but I don't know, I kind of wish that new ace monster was a little bit better in my opinion, but I still think the support is cool nonetheless. But I will say this though, why the hell is this new fusion monster that is Greffa not the cover monster for this new structure deck? For people that don't know what structure deck is, it's basically them making a new modern version of an old structure deck that they made in the past. And for people that don't know, the original structure deck for this had Greffa as the main card on the set. It was basically the main card to promote the structure deck. And for some reason they didn't pick the fusion monster as the cover monster for this new deck. I don't know why they decided to do that, but hey, whatever, that was their decision. But really cool to see Dark World getting support. I have enjoyed the Dark World support, and although I don't think this is going to really boost up the Dark World deck that much, I do think this is some pretty nice support for the Dark World archetype. But with that being said, that is going to be it for this OCG TCG video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this new Dark World support. Did you think the support was good? Did you think it was okay support? Or are you not the biggest fan of the support? And let me know, are you fine with the monster being the cover card of this set? Or do you agree with me and you guys think that the new Greffa Fusion monster should be the cover of this new structure deck? It's like I said earlier, it was originally Greffa as the main promotional card on the last structure deck that we had for Dark World, and for some reason they're not doing it again for this one, which is basically a more upgrade for a modern version of that previous deck. Like, I don't know, it just makes no sense to me, but we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. If you agree with me on that or not, we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. But with that being said, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.